Om Vasudevasutang Devam Kausachanuramartanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishna Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishna Vande Jagadgurum Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Pranams from Dr. R.J. Kalpana. Welcome to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. In this session, we will be studying chapter 7, JnanaVijnanaYoga, the yoga of the unmanifested reality and the manifested divinity. Out of the 1,00,000 shlokas in the Mahabharata, 700 shlokas have been dedicated to Bhagavad Gita. The entire Mahabharata, Vyasa refers to Krishna as Keshava, Madhusudana, Govinda, and Krishna. It is only in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is shown in various roles. The opening chapter, Arjuna addresses Krishna as a friend and commands him to drive his chariot to the middle of the battlefield so he can see who has taken up arms against him in the upcoming war. In the second chapter, Krishna steps up from the role as a friend to the role of the Guru, where Arjuna beseeches Krishna and asks him, "Take me as your disciple, pray instruct me." Only a Guru instructs their disciples. From chapter 7 onwards, Krishna steps up from being a Guru to being the divine, because from this chapter onwards, increasingly deep, divine, spiritual secrets are unveiled to us. So let us look at the first shloka. Shri Bhagavan said, "Arjuna, now listen how with the mind attached to me through exclusive love and practicing yoga with absolute dependence of me, you will know me, the repository of all power, strength and glory and other attributes, the universal soul, in entirety and without any shadow of doubt." Here, Krishna is once again recommending a path of yoga which leads to complete and absolute dependence on the divine. Now let us look at that word dependence. What does it mean? It doesn't mean we stop functioning as an individual. It doesn't mean that we stop performing our duties, discharging our responsibilities. Increasingly, our dependence on the divine means that we accept with grace whatever is offered to us. The dependence upon the mother by the child, whatever is offered by the mother, the child accepts with love, with joy, with happiness. So now here the dependence is quantified by exclusive love, bhakti, bhakti yoga, complete devotion, a quality that is not merely that of the Sankhya yogis or the Karma yogis or the Dhyana yogis, not essentially that which is knowledge driven, action driven, or driven by certain practices, but it is that substratum, it is that unifying principle that transmutes any activity of ours into an offering to the divine, which is bhakti. We will study bhakti yoga in the later chapters, but for now let us understand it at its primary level. Exclusive love, unswerving loyalty, complete dependence, service to the divine. And then that divine will be perceivable by our hearts. That which cannot be defined, that divine principle which permeates countless millions of universes, that which is eternal and ancient, that can be perceived by us beyond any shadow of doubt. So Krishna is advising Arjuna here not to have any doubts on this path. He has given us the methodology to reach him. He has given us the processes. Accept the steps, walk the path, and you will reach the goal beyond any shadow of doubt, he says. In Shloka 2, I shall unfold to you in its entirety this wisdom, knowledge of God in his absolute formless aspect, along with the knowledge of the qualified aspect of God, both with form and without form, having known which nothing else remains yet to be known in this world. And so here Krishna says that I will give you the secret in its entirety, that wisdom of the unmanifested reality, along with that wisdom, that knowledge of the manifested divinity, the unmanifested reality which is formless, which has no attributes, the manifested divinity which has a form, which has attributes. And once you have that knowledge, once that knowledge is known to you, there is nothing else left to understand in this world. Shloka 3. Hardly one among thousands of men strives to realize me. Of those striving yogis again, some rare one, devoting himself exclusively to me, knows me in reality. And so here Krishna says that amongst the thousands who walk the path towards the divine, amongst the thousands who throng the temples, the places of worship, the places of ashrams, under the tutelage of gurus, amongst the thousands of men who are striving, earning to understand the divine, to achieve God realization, to perceive the Antaryaman, of those striving yogis, hardly one realizes me. And out of those minimal one or two handful, there is that rare one who knows me in reality, who understands the secret of mine, the secret of this entire universe, devoting. And that too, that reality is conferred only upon that person, that yogi who has devoted exclusively towards the realization of the divine. It is said by Adi Shankaracharya that to understand the divine, to attain liberation or God realization, or even merger with the divine, 4 conditions need to be fulfilled. The first condition is that we must be born a human. The God realization, to realize the divine, to perceive the divine within and without, is the exclusive prerogative and birthright of the human species. That is the first condition, to be born a human. The second is to be born with all faculties intact. For those who are challenged mentally, emotionally, sometimes it becomes difficult to understand concepts, and especially abstract concepts of unmanifested realities. So have all the faculties intact is a rare blessing indeed. The third condition, to be born in the same time period as a master of caliber, to be born in that era as a living master, a guru who is himself self-realized. And the fourth condition, to go to his feet and get his initiation and follow his instructions. These 4 conditions need to be met in order for a human being to realize God. We are all born human, yes. We all have our mental faculties intact, yes. We are also born in the same time period of a master of caliber. A living master. Because it is a rare moth that can fling itself into the ashes of a dying fire. But how many of us follow the instructions of our gurus? So here Krishna says, hardly one amongst the thousands of men strive to realize me. A population of billion, trillion humans in this world, hardly one strive make a conscious effort to realize the divine. And among those striving souls making an effort half heartedly, perhaps only a rare one who has devoted exclusively to understanding the divine knows me in reality, has access to that spiritual truth, the secrets of the universe, the hidden secrets of the divine principle that pulsates throughout the cosmos. Shloka 4 and 5. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, reason, and also ego. These constitute my nature, eightfold divided. This indeed is my lower material nature. The other than this, by which the whole universe is sustained, know it to be my higher or spiritual nature in the form of Jiva, the life principle, O Arjuna. So here Krishna has divided the lower nature and the higher nature. The lower nature he has collectively categorized the elements, the Panchabhutas, the five elements, and along with it has also added the mind, the reason, and ego. The aspects of the cosmic mind, and has categorized it as in the world of Prakriti, right? The Apara Prakriti, which is objective and material in nature. And then he has added a higher self, a higher nature by which the entire universe is sustained, the life principle, the Jiva, he calls it, which is the Para Prakriti, or the subjective conscious life principle. So one that belongs to the world of matter, and one which belongs to the spiritual celestial dimension. Delineating thus the character of the higher and the lower natures, the Apara and Para Prakritis, the divine demonstrates to us that these are the cause of the entire creation, and that the entire creation is a combination of these two modes of nature, the higher, the life principle, and the lower, which constitutes the elements and the mind, the reason, and the ego. Shloka 6. Arjuna, know that all beings have evolved from this twofold Prakriti, and that I am the source of the entire creation, and into me again it disappears. So here Krishna says that out of this twofold Prakriti, the entire creation and all beings have evolved. And that Krishna, the divine principle, is a source of the entire creation, the source from which the creation appears and eventually the creation disappears. Shloka 7. There is nothing else besides me, Arjuna, like clusters of yarn beads formed by knots on a thread. All this is threaded on me. A beautiful analogy Krishna gives, that everything, every being, every universe, every cosmos, every star, planet, every galaxy that we see in this cosmos are nothing but beads threaded onto a tray, onto a garland, which is the divine. Everything is a knot, and that thread that joins it all together, that pulls it all together into one cosmic, universal identity, is the divine. So, by this illustration, the divine showcases here that he is omnipresent and omnipotent, that his very essence permeates throughout the entire universe. Shloka 8. Arjuna, I am the sapidity in water and the light in the moon and the sun. I am the sacred syllable Om in all the Vedas, the sound in ether and the manliness in men. So here Krishna is giving us a forerunner of a chapter that is going to come a little later. He's giving us a little bit of a hint, chapter 10. But he's giving us a hint here in chapter 7, where he's talking about the principle that constitutes and pervades everything around that we see in the material world. And so he defines that the principle of water, the sapidity, is nothing but the divine. The glow, the luminosity that we see in the sun and the moon is nothing but the divine. The syllable, the very syllable that resounds in the Vedas, which is nothing but the vibration of the universe, Om, that is the divine. The sound in the ether and the essence of man is nothing but the divine again. Shloka 9. I am the pure order, the subtle principle of order in the earth and the brilliance in fire. Nay, I am the life in all beings and the austerity in men of ascesis. And here once again Krishna talks about the order of the earth and the brilliance of the fire. That principal element in the Panchabhutas, that essential identifying factor in all the elements, is nothing but the divine. The life force, the prana in all beings is the divine. And the men who undertake austerities, that very concept is nothing but the divine. Shloka 10. Arjuna, know me, the eternal seed of all beings. I am the intelligence of the intelligent, the glory of the glorious am I. And so here Krishna declares himself to be that seed from which the entire creation has sprung forth, has come manifested into being, that eternal seed of creation, that intelligence and that cognitive faculty which regulates the mind and the senses is nothing but the divine. The glory of the glorious, the radiance, the tejas that we see sometimes in people's faces, that radiance, that glow, that tejas is the divine shining forth from within. Shloka 11. Arjuna, of the mighty I am the might, free from passion and desire. In beings I am the sexual desire, not conflicting with virtue or scriptural injunctions. Once again, Krishna talks about the might, the strength of the strong. And here he also talks about the desire, the passion that is prevalent amongst beings. But then he clarifies it and says that it is passion that is in keeping in accord with the Vedic scriptures, not the aberrations, that which is irreproachable and is pure desire alone. That is him. The aberrations is all our fault. Yes? Shloka 12. Whatever other entities there are, born of sattva, the quality of goodness, and those that are born of rajas, the principle of activity, and tamas, the principle of inertia, know them all as evolved from me alone. In reality, however, neither do I exist in them, nor they in me. And so here Krishna says, now having given us a hint in Shloka 11 about the purity of passion and desire, and then he goes on in Shloka 12 talking about our tendencies, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic tendencies. And then he says that they are born of nature, they are modes of prakriti, and yet neither do I exist in them, nor they in me. Now, what that means is that we have to understand it in terms of an analogy of the atmosphere and the cloud. The atmosphere is always existent, and it's not dependent on the existence of the cloud. The cloud itself is not something different from the atmosphere, because it appears as arising from the atmosphere. And therefore the cloud has no separate existence. The atmosphere is not present in the cloud, and either exists as their own identities. So therefore, in light of that, we need to understand what Krishna means by saying what Krishna means by saying that the divine is the substratum of all the evolutes of Prakriti, but in reality they do not exist in him, nor does he exist in them. Shloka 13. The whole of this creation is deluded by these objects evolved from the three modes of Prakriti, the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. That is why the world fails to recognize me, standing apart from these and imperishable. So here Krishna is saying that this entire creation is under illusion, is subject to the illusion that Maya and Prakriti has created by their tendencies of Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic. And that is why, blinded by these tendencies, we as humans fail to recognize the divine as standing apart and away from these modes and standing as an imperishable, immutable, eternal principle. We are subject to the modes of Prakriti. We are subject to the tendencies of our nature, be it Sattvic, Rajasic or Tamasic. It is delusional for us to think that the divine, who has created the universe, created Prakriti itself, is also subject to these tendencies. Neither I exist in them, nor do they exist in me. The Creator is beyond his creation. Shloka 14. For this most wonderful Maya of mine, consisting of the three gunas, the modes of nature, is extremely difficult to break through. Those, however, who constantly adore me alone are able to cross it. And so here Krishna says that I have created this illusion, this veil of Maya. And what is the veil of Maya? It's consisting of the three gunas, the Sattvic, Rajasic and the Tamasic gunas, which is very difficult to break through. But those who adore me alone, they are able to cross the world of Maya and the world of illusion. Om